The Orville Twice in a Lifetime is a one of those drama, not really a drama episode, but a thought-provoking episode. Like, what would you do? It has been done. This story has been done in Star Trek before, I believe, but don't quote me on that. I don't really know. It kind of seems familiar, but eh. So the story. John finally gets the time travel machine working that they had from season 1 with the banana thing, and he can send stuff into the past or into the future. So they're told by the not admirals, that they are going to put this into protective custody. They go, but then the Kalons show up and they go to destroy it. Ed sends Malloy to go and destroy the thing by shooting it. So he does, but the core overloads and it activates the time machine and sends Malloy back into the past. They discover where he went. He went to 2015. And he's been there for a while. So Ed and the gang decide that they're going to go back and get him, because Malloy sends out a stress signal from the past for help that finds its way into the stars, and they can find it. But they can't have enough disonium in the engines, and they don't travel far enough into the past. So he's there for, I think, 10 years, if I remember correctly. So Ed and Kelly go to get Malloy, and Isaac and New Girl go to get the disonium, because he needs somebody who can do the math fast enough to be able to get the stuff in properly, because if you don't take it out properly, it could cause an earthquake that could kill a lot of people, obviously. And an earthquake's not supposed to happen because it's in the past. Well, turns out that after 3 years of waiting, Malloy got tired of waiting and tired of being alone, and he went and found that girl that he had the hots for that put the cell phone in the time capsule. They have 2 children, well, 1 child and 1 still inside the stomach. And Malloy doesn't want to go back, but they can't leave him in the past because of their rules. Like, I know on Star Trek it is the Prime Directive, but on this one, I can't remember right now. And no one really watches these anyway, so who cares? And so Ed gets the idea, because they get enough disonium, that, you know what? You can stay. You can stay, Malloy. We're going to go get you in the past, so you never have this family. And they do it, and they overshoot by a couple months, so he's there for a couple months. They get a version of Malloy who actually wants to be on the ship. Doesn't know anything about his perfect life that he had. And they get back to the Orville. Well, turns out that the machine broke, but John discovers that they don't need the machine to go back in time. They just take away the safeties on the on the warp core. Screw it, I'm just going to use Star Trek names. On the warp core, and they can shoot to a certain spot where there's no life in the universe, and there's along this timeline, and no, like, dust. They said dust, but like meteors and that kind of stuff that they're going to crash into. And they go to warp. And they shoot to the star, and they shoot back to Earth. Well, they time travel back to the time of the period they're supposed to be in. See, me, I would have had them, like, shoot over a month or something like that. Just to be, funny. Like, where you guys been? You've been gone a month. Like, we thought you died at the thing. Or, like, a couple days. But originally I thought that they were going to use the time machine to send a message in the past, like, hey, don't go here. Or destroy it, or something like that. But they didn't. They decided to be more philosophical and have him go back in the past, because they start the episode off with Malloy having a party, and he talks to Blondie about the cell phone, because she finds it in his room, in his apartment quarters, whatever. And we find out that Blondie's a lesbian. And that friend of hers that was on the ship that they sacrificed herself for, she actually was in love with her. And she wanted to tell her that she was in love with her and that she could have seen them spending the rest of their lives together and being married, but she couldn't because she died, and that's why she'll hate Isaac forever no matter what, even though. And she didn't save Isaac because she saved Isaac because that it was her duty and for the kid. So that's more of her backstory. And they asked the psychological questions on that at the end of the episode with Malloy thinking, how can I be so selfish and go and do this and change the timeline and everything? Goes, they actually know how her life was supposed to go. Her and the guy she broke up were supposed to get back together and be musicians and all that kind of stuff. But instead, he went and made her a child, or gave her a child, and moved her from New York to California. So he had to but Ed and Kelly say, or Kelly says, well, how do we know what we would have done in that position? And nothing's going to happen to Malloy, obviously, because he didn't break any rules or anything now, because they went back and got him in a further thing where he was still looking for help. And my only complaint, I would have liked to seen them land by the cabin he was staying in, because he stayed in the cabin for 3 years by himself. And after the months of being in there, because they showed the whole thing. It's not like they couldn't because it's a streaming show. They could have added an extra 5-minute scene of him being really happy and coming and hugging them or something. Made a little extra, because last time you saw him, he was all angry and he was going to shoot them. Obviously, because he didn't want to lose his family. But technically, if you believe in the whole alternate timeline things, there is one where he does have his family and they get to live happily ever after. It's just not the one that the Orville is currently, the people we're following currently. And it's like there's a timeline where the Orville was blown up because the Kelly changed everything, and that's the one. It's just missing his doctor, or particles of the doctor, because she went to the back in time and got erased. Or whatever. It's time travel. It's not supposed to make sense. It's a big headache thing. So what'd you think of the episode? No one ever comments on these things. I know we get like 12 views anyway, so whatever. That's why I don't really do it anymore. So I don't try to push it along the same time as Pokemon Fridays, because that at least gets views. Thanks for watching and have a good one, even though no one did.